that have charred areas in and around Los Angeles.
Yeah, we have some new video coming in from Cal Fire. This is the Palisades fire overnight. You can see the smoke and the flames being blown around by really, really strong winds. So far, at least 2 people have died, we're told. That's in the Eaton fire, which started just outside of Pasadena. That fire alone has burned more than 10,000 acres.
And as that rages on all day, we have been hearing harrowing stories of people rushing to get to safety. But we've also heard about some of the local citizens who have stayed in the fire zone in an attempt to help.
One of those people, Steve Guttenberg. Yes, that Steve Guttenberg. You've probably seen a film with Steve in it. He's been in Police Academy, the whole series, Cocoon, 3 Men and a Baby. He joins us now. Steve, I know you're driving. Please keep your eyes on the road and don't look at the camera at all with us.
Yeah, we do want you to stay safe. First off, you know, situations like this can really activate fight or flight. What made you choose to stay and fight for yourself and your neighbors?
Well, it's important. Thank you for putting me on your platform. I just want to tell people that when there is a crisis and you abandon your car in the middle of the street, leave the key in it so people like myself can move those cars to the side of the road and let fire vehicles and emergency vehicles up there. The second thing I want to say is if you're able-bodied, help people in wheelchairs, small children, mothers that have anxiety and are in panic attacks. It's really important to help people that need your help if you're able-bodied. And at the same time, when all this is over and we go back to normal life, let's try to keep this empathy. Let's try to keep this kindness and this thoughtfulness. This is a time that we've got to band together, that we're not one street or one town or one city. We're one community, and that's where we are. And it's funny, no matter what house you live in or what car you drive or how much money you have, at the end of the story, you're just wheeling a small suitcase behind yourself and trying to save all your important documents and things like that. And then you're looking for a place to evacuate. Yeah. It's a time that this is the worst fire I've ever seen in my life, and it's terrible. The sky at 1 o'clock in the afternoon is dark. It looks like evening at 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah, and Steve, I know you were in the Pacific Palisades area. I'm not sure exactly where you live, but you were talking about neighbors and friends who you were trying desperately to help. This is yesterday. This is 24 hours ago. Paint a picture for those who don't know what you've been through in the last 24 hours.
Well, at 9 a.m., I was in town and everything was fine. And at quarter to 10 in the morning, there was a plume of smoke that was as large as anything that you've ever seen. It reminded me of something like 9/11. I got on Sunset Boulevard. It was packed. I was trying to get back to my house. I couldn't get there. Before I knew it, there was a 2-mile line of cars, and the fires were raging on both sides of Palisades Drive. And they were like small little dots of fire that, because of the winds, these winds are the hardest winds I've ever seen since I was in South Africa, and they have these winds called devil winds. They were screaming, these winds, and they were hot winds, and they just these flames just started growing and growing because of the winds. Before I knew it, all the hills were on fire. The hills behind the Calvary school were on fire. And then the police told everybody to abandon their cars. And that's when I started moving cars out of the way. And before you knew it, parents were looking for their children, and people were coming down in wheelchairs. And this one man, he just sticks in my mind. He had no footrests, and he was dragging his feet on the floor while he was in his wheelchair. And I told his aide, the only way we get him out of here is we got to pop a wheelie with this wheelchair. And I took his beautiful face in my hands, and I told him everything's going to be okay. He had tears in his eyes, and I told him everything's going to be okay. This is such a scary time. Fire is the most frightening thing you've ever seen, and people are scared to death. Mothers are scared to death, and children are scared to death, and even all people are scared to death. So I always think if you're able-bodied, give some emotional support and some physical support to everybody. And that's what I'm trying to do. Yeah. And right now, I'm trying to get back to my house and see if I can get in.
Yeah, I mean, Steve, I can hear the emotion from you. What has all of this felt like for you, and how is your home? You said you're heading there now.
It's horrible. Yesterday, I was able to commandeer a vehicle, actually. And then, all these vehicles are just left in the street. And I drove halfway up Palisades Drive, and then the police didn't let me go any further, so I got out and hiked. And then somebody gave me a ride because I was kind of trying to get to my house because my next-door neighbors, their dogs and cats were there, and they're in Japan. So I got up there, and they were shaking, and they were so scared, and I held them tight, and I fed them, and I was able to help them a little bit. And then it was like a zombie land. It was a ghost town. Nobody was up there. I finally got back down to the bottom of the hill. And then I tried to get out, and I tried to get my car, and it was dark as hell. And I saw a little dog in the street, tried to catch that, but it ran away from me. And then Sunset Boulevard had trees down, and they were on fire. The trees were on fire. The palm trees were on fire. Gelson's, which is our grocery store, and Ralph's, our grocery store, they were on fire. The Palisades Theater was on fire.
Wow.
Yeah.
Everything on Temescal Canyon was on fire.
Main stage.
It was all the houses were on fire. Trees were on fire. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, and we have a national audience who may not realize Pacific Palisades is a beautiful, beautiful place, a town between the Pacific Ocean and the foothills of the mountains, right? It's just so much devastation. It's hard to process. Do you know if your home is okay? You're going there now. Do you know what to expect?
I don't know. I'm trying to get up there. I've tried several different ways to get up there. And now I've got to park someplace and then go there on foot. But I'm hoping that it's okay. Someone did fly by with a private plane and take pictures. So I'm sure hoping that my house is okay.
And Steve, you said you've never seen a fire like this in Southern California before. What do you want people around the country to know about what you're experiencing and your neighbors?
That you never know within 20 minutes how things can change. So always prepare. Prepare for a crisis. If you live in a tornado neighborhood, prepare for a tornado, a hurricane neighborhood, a terrible snowstorm neighborhood, an ice storm neighborhood. Always prepare. Prepare, prepare, prepare. And if you never use it, great. And the other thing is, again, I say, if you're in a crisis and you leave your car in the middle of the street and you abandon it, leave the keys in the car. There were 20 or 30 Teslas.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to start a Tesla. And I didn't know how to, I suggested, and so did other people, to the fire department, get a bulldozer. And they actually did. They got a bulldozer and they bulldozed all these cars.
Yeah, we've seen that just to get the fire trucks able to get in the neighborhood. Steve Guttenberg, we're going to let you go. Please, please stay safe. Life is more important, obviously, than any of these homes.